You're live and recording. Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Nino, and I'm the host of today. And I will help out Jono and Ila today with their webinar. And we're already seeing a lot of people from a lot of different countries: Ukraine, Brazil, Ohio, US. I thought I saw Hong Kong somewhere as well.
Yeah.
So let us know where you're from, because it's always nice to see that we are reaching such a broad audience.
And it's almost certainly nicer than it is here in the UK. So please woo us with your lovely weather.
How's the weather at you're in Israel, Elad? How is it in Israel, the weather?
Summer is coming about, so we're around 30 degrees daily. I'm on a short sleeve daily basis. It's pretty good.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's better than here in the Netherlands as well. A lot of rain today.
Yeah.
So let's first make sure that you're in the right space, in the right spot, because we're here with Jono, the head of SEO of Yoast, and Elad, the VP of marketing of Loox. And they're going to explain how to get rich results for your online store. Maybe just real quick, Elad, why are rich results so important?
At the end of the day, it's real estate. I mean, you want to get more boldness on that busy SERP, and the more ammunition you have, the better it can be.
Yeah, cool. So to get you all warmed up a little bit before the webinar, I just got a quick question I would like to ask all of you. At the bottom, you see a poll going live right now, and we're just curious, what platform do you use building your e-commerce store? So if you can
this
just
is exciting.
Vote on that. I've got a couple
of
different platforms in there. Let us know, and while you're doing that, I will just do some general announcements. Because we always get a lot of questions about the recording of this webinar, and yes, the webinar gets recorded and will be available for you to rewatch tomorrow. Also, there's a Q&A section or an ask a question section at the bottom of your screen. For me, it's somewhere there. If you open it, you can ask a question, and then Jono and Elad know what question they have to answer during the Q&A at the end. And there's a follow button there somewhere. It says Yoast. If you click it, you can follow us and you can see what we are all doing. I guess that's it for me. Jono, Elad, you ready for the webinar?
Everybody has written other. Please state what is it? I'm curious to know.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
The other. So what platform do you use building your e-commerce stores? If you voted other, what is it? What else is there?
WooCommerce for the win.
Squarespace, says GM. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, we should chat afterwards. Interesting choices. Trixie.
Well, Jono, take it away.
Cool. All right. So you should be able to see my screen, I think. So we've got a whole bunch of stuff to get through, some grounding to do, some positioning. I don't want to talk all the way through this. So Elad, interrupt me. We should have a chat. We should take questions from the audience. Yeah, feel free to ask them in the ask a question bit, but also say smart stuff in the chat, and we'll try and pick that up as we go. So yeah, this is about you guys in the audience. We're just here to help. So I guess a little bit of grounding. As we just mentioned, reviews are really important for a couple of reasons. All the research we have shows that users search as part of a product research and decision-making process. Like if you're going to buy something, you almost certainly at some point go to Google or Bing or your search engine of choice, Facebook or Amazon, you type some stuff in and you see a bunch of reviews, whether that's explicit reviews or star ratings against products. And these influence what happens next. They influence which products you rule out. Like I'm definitely not having that second pair of sneakers, and they definitely affect which ones you definitely consider. So all of the things that happen next in my product journey are influenced by this sort of stuff. And there is tons and tons of research which shows how important this is. I won't dwell on mountains of this, but very quickly, literally almost everybody says they read reviews before they decide to purchase or not. And obviously the impact of that determines what happens next. I've stolen a whole bunch of these stats and these the statistics. You can go look through these on your own time, but essentially these are all stolen from a site called financesonline.com, who's done the hard work of cherry picking all of these, and they all reinforce this evidence that users go, they seek out information, they read, and that influences their decision-making process, not just of your products, but also of your business, your customer service, your delivery, your sales support, all of it. And then beyond that, also, that trust erodes if you have bad reviews or if you have no reviews. So you've really got to be competing here. If your competitor or competing products have better reviews or even any reviews when you don't, you're much likely to get the click and much less likely to get the click and less likely to get the sale. And again, there's loads of research here that reinforces that. And then on top of that, your users also expect you as a brand to engage with and respond to these reviews and to manage them and to interact with them and to improve on areas where you're weak. So you really need to be driving your business based on this. This isn't just about getting some nice social proof on your pages. This is about really transforming how you operate your business in order to get those reviews, take advantage of them, and then use them as a feedback loop. So big question. I'm going to hand over the mic because I've already talked far too much. If we say that these are really important and they're really critical, how do you get them? What do you do? Oh, if only there were a magic wand. Nice, right?
Great segue. Yeah, very smooth. So gathering that review, I think that's the key issue. I mean, at the end of the day, we can all agree that customers are expecting to see these reviews, and they're converting at far higher rates. We've seen a conversion uplift that is up to 91%. That means it almost doubles your conversion rate on the website, and that trustworthiness is super critical. Now, practically, how do you do it? There is literally quite a few apps out there. There's really dozens, specifically in the Shopify ecosystem, and even more if you look beyond. And what these apps do is actually allow you to collect these in a systematic, fully automated way. A user completes a purchase, they wait until the actual item has been delivered, fulfilled, and then trigger these reviews and collect these back into your website. Now, there's different ways to incentivize these and create all these different processes, but the process is really that straightforward. And once you've collected this mass of UGC, of this user-generated content, it's really a gold mine, right? And this can then be used in various different ways. Now we'll talk about the SEO, usage of it. But if you can click to the next slide.
Yes, I can try.
Showing this UGC on your website. This is really, once you have the people in your website, this is how you get them to actually convert, driving that home and really being able to show them what these happy customers are looking at, how this product looks, in practice. So it's a real driver for conversions. So collecting, showing, it's not a huge secret, but it really gets the work done.
Yeah, this is huge. Right? I see so many sites, whether they're on Shopify or WooCommerce or anything else, who will get to step one. They'll install a plugin or an app that lets them collect reviews on products, but then they stop. So they're just hoping that people will click that star rating and write 300 words of wonderful copy. And that's part of the process. But yeah, you've also got to have a model for encouraging people and making sure that the reviews you're getting are from real humans who've definitely purchased, because you've got competitors and it might be in their interest to leave bad reviews, and there's all sorts of pitfalls. Like you were saying earlier, there's some new laws coming through in the EU, right?
So yeah, there's a new regulation right around the corner. It should be announced on May 28th. That's next week. And that would actually crack down on people that are using fake reviews or people that are eliminating negative reviews. So if your website collects reviews and you've worked hard to really source these reviews from your customers, from actual customers, you aren't allowed anymore to hide these negative reviews. Now, coming from a review app perspective, we know that you need to show both. You need to show the good, you need to show the bad, and there's a balance between them, right? If there's only bad reviews, you're probably in a bad spot. You should fix your customer experience. But if you're in a good place where you have this balanced out and you have only a handful of these negative reviews, leave them, let them be. Aside from the regulation itself, you want to keep that authentic all the way. So regulations coming out, you need to be aware. We're currently exploring this with our attorneys to understand the full, ramifications of such a move. It's a major one, and we hope to be prepared fully and for our clients as well.
Nice, because I was just thinking one of the other sides is, so people install the stuff and they hope that they get reviews, and then they don't, obviously, because it's quite a lot to ask somebody unless you've got those processes in place. So they go, oh, we'll just buy some, or we'll incentivize and we'll offer free gifts and stuff. And then they don't realize the complexity of the legal stuff around incentivized reviews and fake reviews and all of that. So yeah, you definitely want a platform where you can manage this, that will handhold and guide you. If you can get reviews on your own, then great, but seeking help for this sort of thing to scale it and manage it and get all the boxes ticked is definitely a good plan. Because yeah, I know we struggle at Yoast. We would love loads more reviews, and we would love everyone who leaves them to have a name and a photo and 300 words of content, but it's a huge ask. So yeah, using a platform for that is sensible. Also, you mentioned you start to mention other things that this is good for. I wonder about things like content strategy, right? If we're starting to stray into the SEO implications, but if I've got people who are using certain types of terminology or asking questions, that can be great. It can be good for support training. This sort of stuff's really powerful. So yeah, nice. Okay, so let's assume you've solved all of this. Yeah. Sorry, do just talk over me. I will waffle until the cows come home. So shut me down, please.
I'm quietly agreeing.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, you've done the hard work. You've got your stuff in place. What is the SEO angle, right? Because that's part of what we're interested in. Beyond just this will help you sell loads more. There's definitely an SEO flavor. So one of the things that Google is increasingly trying to do is evaluate your web pages to determine whether you have expertise, whether you're an authority, and whether you're trustworthy. And they refer to this as EAT or EAT. And it's a broad concept. It's not a ranking factor. It's not a real thing, but it's a set of ideas and way that they're looking at web pages. And it's really important to understand that this kind of evaluation isn't just Google's algorithms. The human quality rater teams that Google employ, there's like 30,000 of them, evaluate search results and web pages, and they say this wasn't very trustworthy. Oh, I wasn't sure about the business's opening hours, or it's not clear who wrote this page, and other kinds of quality signals. And social proof, like reviews, can be a big part of demonstrating that you're authentic, that you're legitimate. It's much less likely that your business is a scam if you've got a bunch of reasonably real-looking reviews from real-looking humans saying, great, my product was definitely delivered, great, this wasn't faulty, this was a real Rolex, etc. Really nice. So that's really important. So even though reviews probably aren't a ranking factor, it does go a long way to help search engines and users, obviously, to trust your pages more. And there's all sorts of secondary impacts of that, like that, yes, they're going to be more likely to buy, but maybe also more likely to share, to comment, to retweet, to mention, or to link to you, all of which might impact your rankings. So that's all a bit abstract and strategic. Here's the tactical side and what everybody is here to learn about. When you've got those reviews on your web pages, you want to expose them directly to Google. Elad was saying earlier, like it's great for click-through rate and great for bolding and getting more real estate. This is what that looks like. When you've got good reviews, when you're describing them in a way Google can understand, you can stand the heck out in the search results. Maybe you're ranking third, but you've got these appealing star ratings and presentation that the two sites above you don't have. Maybe you're going to get more clicks, and maybe you want to invest in that rather than trying to rank higher. So you start to get some really interesting opportunities to play the game differently. And suddenly getting reviews and exposing that becomes a much more impactful thing than chasing the rankings and trying to get more links and keyword rankings. So this is really cool. How do we do that? If you come to any of our webinars before, you will have heard us talk about schema and structured data. We use a specific type of language and code to describe our products and services and businesses in a way that Google can understand. And here in the example you can see on the left, if you squint really hard, we're describing a product. And yes, this is code, but if you look at it, you can see actually it's fairly straightforward. It's just a bunch of text. It's a product. It has images. It has a description. It has an SKU code. It has a brand. And you can just about interestingly see it's got a few reviews, and you can see the beginnings of the code for that. And on the right, you can see how Google handles that. Google can now say, okay, I understand that this is a product with a price and some images. Let's, in the images results, make sure that it's purchasable. And in the conventional results, we can say how much it costs. And you can start to see how communicating this information directly to Google makes you eligible for these. We should point out this isn't a ranking factor, and it's not a guarantee of getting these types of rich results, but it does make you eligible. It's table stakes for playing in those spaces. Where do you start with that? This is all built on a standard called schema.org, which you can find helpfully at schema.org. I know it's really badly named. The standard is the website. Yeah, stupid. It's a dictionary that describes all the types of things that you can describe. And this is the information page for product. And you can see that a product might have a brand or a category or a color or all sorts of different stuff. And there's a long page of things that you can describe, hundreds and hundreds of stuff. You can probably ignore most of this, because the stuff that's important for you is the stuff that Google wants to read and understand and reward. So if we're trying to get a specific rich result format for products, you can go to Google's documentation and see which bits of schema are required and which are recommended. And you can see here for product, you only need a name and either a review or aggregate rating or an offer. Interesting, right? Reviews are important. You need a name and either a review or a rating or an offer. But you can also add recommended stuff, which makes things richer and richer, etc. So one of the things that, in fact, I should pause. Actually, this is an example of a site on Shopify running Yoast SEO. They recently gave us a 5-star review, really good as a result of our review outreach processes. Feel free to do the same. Interestingly, when you look at this, you start to say, what is this page? What's going on? There's a product. There's some images. They're part of my microphone's going haywire. Part of a broader web page that's on a website that's published by an organization. And that organization is the same company that manufactures and sells the product. This is a network of connected concepts. And if we wanted to get super geeky, which we don't have time for because I'll lose you all, you can start to visualize what that looks like. You can see the relationships between these things. This is a product on a web page that has some images, etc., etc. And this can be a really good way to influence and earn knowledge panels and other types of rich results as well as just products. So, big question. How do you do all of this? How do you get it? This is all very complex and nerdy and codey and requires me to read through pages of Google documentation, get loads of reviews. The good answer is you don't have to do anything other than go and get the reviews. And that's why I think this webinar is really important. And the work we've done integrating with you, Loox, which we'll come on to in a minute, is really important because all of the abstract, technical, complex stuff is all handled behind the scenes. All you need to do is go and get the reviews to populate and fill in the difference. So we already automatically build a big interconnected network graph of all of the things. This is an example from a WooCommerce site. The Shopify output is slightly different because the ecosystems work differently. But you can start to see on a web page about a thing, we describe all of that stuff to Google in a way they can understand so that they can say, yes, okay, this is eligible for how-to rich results. And you've got some FAQ questions and it's an article and we know who the author is. And if it's a recipe, we know the calorie count and we know the position in the site and all this kind of information. Really, really cool, but it's missing a critical thing. So in the Shopify space, one of the challenges as a development company building apps, it's really, really hard in Shopify to get one app to be able to talk to another app or to even know that another app's installed, and the way that they interact and integrate is an absolute nightmare. So we, on one hand, have a whole bunch of SEO data and information about the page and ratings and individual reviewers, and no idea about the data that's in Loox or the total rating scores and the reviews themselves. So we spent a huge amount of time stitching all that together. And we're really excited to share this. I'm speaking on your behalf. We're really excited. I'm really excited. I'm sure you are as well. Feel free to correct me. This is another customer site. This is a
We're excited as well.
Yeah, good. I think this is really big. This is the most exciting thing that we've done in Schema for a while. And there's loads more we can do with it. This is a customer site on Shopify running both the Yoast SEO app and the Loox app. And you can see it's got a bunch of reviews you can just about make out. There's a really nice interface where it's prompting people to say, come and do the reviews. I don't know if you want to talk about that a bit. Maybe that's kind of goes beyond just the get reviews. There's quite a nice integration there.
I think there's different ways we're seeing here to showcase the reviews. There's this drawer you can pull where there's review with a star next to it in black. There's that small review pop-up coming on the left, and even a referral widget down on the right, where you can actually prompt people to ask other people to come in and really enjoy some sort of discount. I think from our angle from Loox, we try to be good citizens of the Shopify ecosystem, right? So we want to surface that data. We want to have it available. We want other apps to integrate with it. We want developers to be able to take it into their themes. So it's really important for us to make this all kind of interoperable in a sense. So I think it was really trivial in the sense that you'd come and pick up and connect this into really the greater scheme of things, pun intended. And this is also to say that Loox on its own does provide the aggregated reviews as a schema solution if you're installing it standalone, right? But it won't connect you to the bigger scheme of things, which is important. As you said, it gives kind of that wider context of where this page and where this product is really sitting within this website.
Yeah, and we haven't talked about that a lot. We've definitely covered that on other webinars, but the point is that yes, you can. That's the really important bit, and you get that schema in, and you get the rich results. But the kind of bigger picture stuff, when you zoom out, is the long game of where Google are going and how they want to consume information and understand the web. Is you want to be weaving those connected stories of tying everything up. So joining forces and having our schema talk to your schema and vice versa starts to build that web of connected stuff. In fact, I can show you. This is really cool. This product page has like 5 different colors and 2 different styles and 8 different sizes. So there's like hundreds of variations there, as well as the relationship to the organization and the author and the stuff. So we output something that looks like this, which is just a headache to look at. Yeah, but this is pretty cool. So you go, okay, there's one product here, but it's available in 50, 60 different variations. And each of those has an offer and some of them are different prices. But as you start to look closely at this, maybe. Yeah, you can just see on the right-hand side, there's a tiny little dot that says aggregate rating. Now, we don't have that in Yoast. That's from Loox, but it's joined up. And we're saying that this product and these offers have this aggregate rating. So we're sharing that information. We're connecting it all into one narrative. And now all of those products and all of their variations are eligible for super sleek, rich result formats in Google, and Bing and Yahoo and Facebook. I should mention this isn't just a Google thing. Like all the major providers and platforms are consuming data this way. This is really, really powerful. So yeah, on the surface, it looks like we're doing a bunch of the heavy lifting and Loox is just along for the ride, but it's absolutely not that. Like we've built all this network of connected things to enable other stuff to slot in. And that's the really powerful bit. Like that's the bit that Google wants is what are the aggregate reviews for this product? Because that's the bit that tells the story about the social proof, that makes it relevant, that makes you stand out from the other stuff. So starting to bolt these bits in is so powerful, and it's super cool to be joining forces with other apps to stitch that together. Really, really, really cool. I get really excited about this stuff.
The beauty of this slide, I enjoy geeking out on SEO, that's fine. But I think the beauty of this slide, it kind of looks like an arrow hitting a bullseye.
Yes. Nice. Spot on. We should use that. We should go back and do that again. It's a much better story. So yeah, let's make this a bit more practical. That was lots of looking at like network charts. Here's a different example of the before and after. So this is a DVD for Frozen, my least favorite film in the world. And before, you can see at the top what an average normal search result might look for that. You've got a breadcrumb, a title, description. Though no, actually the breadcrumb's powered by schema as well, so that's cheating a bit. But then underneath, you can see what that might look like if you'd been running Yoast SEO and Loox together. So you get the star rating and the average rating and the number of reviews, all from Loox, and the price and the stock status from Yoast SEO. And together that allows you to get these really rich results. And you can just see the difference in color, in number of pixels, in your kind of column inches, if we're thinking in old school newspaper models. This is extra real estate. Oh God, there is so much research that I should have included around how much this impacts click-through rate. It is crazy. If your competitors don't have these kinds of results and you do, you're talking double, triple the amount of people clicking your result than otherwise might have. So this is really huge. Of course, the inverse is true. If everyone else has them and you don't, you're not going to get any clicks, because as a user scanning those results going, okay, I know I'm going to open 3 tabs. I know that I've got 30 minutes to make a decision. I know that I care about this a little bit because I'm spending $30, but not a lot because I'm not spending 100. I'm not even going to bother clicking the one that doesn't have the star ratings, because it's just going to waste my time having to go and look and think. Google's already done that hard work for me. So this stuff, yes, it's really powerful, but also it feels like it's kind of, in some industries, it's basic entry level stuff. So you have to have this. How to know if you've got this, and rather than just Googling constantly, Google has a really nice tool called the Rich Results Tester. I say really nice. It's slow, it's clunky, it breaks all the time. It constantly asks you to identify fire hydrants, but bear with it. Plug your URL in this and you'll get some results. And there's a preview tool, and you can preview your URL's result eligibility, and you'll see something like this. And you can see, hey, yeah, okay, great. This was the example we were looking at just now for the pet photos. This is eligible for star ratings and product information. And in some cases, it will show an image there as well. This interface changes. Sometimes it's a bit flunky, but you get the idea. You can see and validate. And Elad, you noticed earlier, actually, out in the wild, how cool is this? This is the real deal, right?
It also shows the variance, and also shows, the price range, because we said there's so many variations available, right? So it really brings everything connected together.
Yeah, very, very cool indeed. And obviously, those ratings and review counts kind of tick up in real time. I know. So you can do this manually. You can just write schema code and put it in your page. You can do that in HTML. You can do it via JavaScript and do it in Tag Manager, other systems. However, if I say I have 10 reviews and they are all 5 stars, and actually I have 13 reviews and they average 4.3, God, Google is so quick to catch you and to slap your wrist and to take these types of results away. And it is really, really hard to get them back. You cannot lie or cheat about these. Even if you're doing it accidentally, you have to have a system that keeps it correct in real time, that is exactly the same in the schema markup and the search results as it is on the page. If these go out of sync, oh, that gets messy. That gets really messy really quickly. And the same with a lot of schemas. So yeah, again, you really need a platform and a systemized way of getting and managing and outputting schema for these kinds of content for reviews. And oh, look, Yoast and Loox do a really good job of working together to provide that. So whilst this isn't sort of an advert, this really is the best and only way to kind of do this markup and stuff. That, I think, is a lightning tour of what's going on. We've finished quite early, haven't we? We've probably got time for a bunch of Q&A.
You barely stopped to take a breath mid speaking, but I can say on your last kind of comment there, as a veteran SEO, I've been working SEO since I think 2014, and
Wow.
dabbling with it even earlier. I've actually done these structured data things in item prop before there was even JSON available.
Wow,
and that was terrible.
Yeah, it just breaks, doesn't it?
Wow. So many bad experiences there. And being able to have the JSON was a huge quantum leap, in being able to really get this out there fast and indexed fast enough. And now being able, to have an app that actually solves this for you, and this just works on autopilot. You don't really need to deal with it on daily basis or monthly basis even. I think that's, the real game changer.
Yeah, so cool. Like I've spent maybe 3 years of my life now quite deeply entrenched in how our schema structure works, because I think the long game is we want to be a platform for these kinds of integrations. We want to develop a universal standard that, as you say, works on autopilot, that users don't have to go in and micromanage, that just sits happily in the background, and then you can plug and play stuff, and automatically you get this big network of stuff. It's it's my favorite thing in the world, but it's pretty dense. Really cool. And Nina's back. Welcome.
Yes, I am. Just right on time for the Q&A, because there are some questions that I think you probably can answer. Shall I just go ahead with the questions then?
Yeah, sure. I've just seen one pop into the chat, which I might just pick up first, if that's all right, because it's a really good one.
Yeah.
Saying the demo is with Shopify. What's the analogous software that works with WooCommerce? Yes, sorry, I overlooked. So the demos were mostly Shopify. You get almost exactly the same behavior from the Yoast side in WooCommerce. If you're running our WooCommerce add-on, that takes the WooCommerce's normal schema and makes it much better and more powerful. And then most of the kind of core, I say this, I don't know if I'm telling the truth. I know there are some WooCommerce review add-ons, including the native stuff, that will work perfectly well. I know WooCommerce hijacks the WordPress comment system, and that should work out the box. If it doesn't, email me or tweet us and we'll get to the bottom of that. But yeah, in WooCommerce, it's much the same kind of thing.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Jono.
No,
Okay,
thanks, Mark, for the good question.
yeah, and thank you, Mark, as well. So thank you, Gerhard, if I pronounce your name correctly, for this question as well, because he would be interested to learn more about which picture Google uses for the rich results. Because one time he can see the first pictures in the description, and sometimes another one, and he's wondering if he can make Google display a picture that he wants to.
Oh, it's interesting, right? So the short answer is they'll do whatever they want and whatever they think is best, which isn't helpful. The longer answer is you can, in theory, influence that with the schema code. It's kind of what it's for. And if you're using Yoast SEO and you have gone in and tinkered with the social previews for that page, you've specified a featured image, you've configured your Facebook stuff, etc. We output all of that in the schema, and we have properties for things like here, use this thumbnail, here, use this image as the primary image of the page. They should respect that. They will sometimes choose not to, like if your image isn't big enough, or if they just don't like it. I don't know, you've said it's a dog product and it's got a picture of a cat on it, they'll ignore it. They're really going to make their own decisions, but you can try and influence it with the schema, which, yeah, you just go and configure the stuff in the interface and we'll take care of that.
Yeah, so you're never 100% sure, but you can increase your chances on getting the right image.
Yeah, as with so many of these things, right?
Yeah, it depends. Yeah.
So technically speaking, it's a crossover between the Open Graph and schema,
yeah,
in a sense.
Yeah, neither of which quite reconcile properly.
Would have expected.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Okay, so next question is, should you add icons to the meta text? Why do some work and some not? I wanted to add the flag of Austria to show I'm a dealer from this country. The flag does not appear, but the green checkbox does appear. What is happening there?
That's a cool question. There is loads of research around adding emojis and icons to meta descriptions and titles. Again, sometimes Google will ignore it if they think it's spammy and you're just whacking in pictures to get better click-through rate. But when it works, it can drive a bunch of click-through rate. But I've also seen studies which say people are less likely to click. I think in this case, that really makes sense. Like geography is quite a big deal, and seeing a flag that I recognize that says, yes, okay, you deliver locally, probably quite a good idea. The green checkbox maybe looks a bit like spam. That's a little bit kind of 1980s sales tactics in a newspaper. Anything that feels a little bit grimy, they're probably going to ignore. Interesting stuff, though.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for the answer. Okay, so up to the next question. I'm seeing this one with some upvotes as well. It's from Leslie asking if you have a membership site. Does it then still benefit you to have rich results, and are there tangible products for it?
Nice. Eli, do you want to get this one? What is a product, I guess?
So basically, any offer in its broadest sense can be categorized as a product. I think you can see a good example, by the way, on the Yoast website, right? So people browsing and searching for Yoast will actually see these reviews. So I think it's a very broad kind of a description there. So it can be used very freely, I believe.
Yeah, and if you go to schema.org, you see that there's so many possibilities for rich results. I was actually surprised by it when I looked at it the first time, but there's definitely something for your site as well, because it basically covers a lot.
Yeah, and there's some wiggle room for interpretation, I guess. Like, it depends on the type of membership in the site, but you could position membership of the site as a product, and you could get reviews of that, and you could get all the rich results. So, yeah, it's interesting, though. Obviously, there are grey areas, and you probably don't want to try and cheat it. But yeah, worth exploring.
Cool. That's definitely an answer. Okay, so next question. Is there any data available which meta text performs better? Like some shops always do display details about free shipping, 24-hour shipment, guarantee, give back guarantee. Is there anything that performs better?
I don't think there are any universal truths, and testing this sort of thing can be quite hard because you don't really have a control study. I do know there's a company called Search Pilot who run an SEO A/B testing platform. They do it at scale, and they publish a whole bunch of research around exactly this kind of thing. I think they had a study a while ago around removing free shipping from titles, so not quite the same thing, but maybe go check them out. You might not be the right kind of fit for using their platform, but their research is really interesting, and they take ideas for this sort of thing. There are other people in that space, but they're the big one. But yeah, I would experiment. You can monitor your metrics in Google Search Console. You get click-through rate in there. Maybe change some of your pages, but not others if you've got enough traffic. Again, it's not going to be scientific, but if you have a big difference, you'll get a feel for it. And also look at your competitors. Because if all 10 of them, or however many they are, doing the same thing, that's either a really good sign that it works or a really bad sign that they're all copying each other, and you can try and guess which one's which.
Cool.
I'd actually suggest something maybe blasphemous for an SEO webinar, but say you can test this, on PPC on Google Shopping.
Yes.
And really see what kind of titles and descriptions resonate with people.
That's really good advice. And even more generally, use paid advertising to test what you might do organically. Definitely. Love it.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Solve it with money.
Pour more money.
Okay, so I think we covered most of this during the webinar, but Arshad is asking, do rich snippets impact on Shopify store? So maybe it wasn't completely clear yet, so maybe you could go over one more time quickly. How does it impact your Shopify store to have rich snippets?
Sure. So out the box, Shopify might do some basic structured data stuff as part of your theme and templates, and that might give you rich snippets, but probably not. So you install Yoast SEO on our app on your Shopify store, and you become eligible for the kind of basic product rich snippets and some article stuff and blog stuff as well. But you want to go to the next level, you install Loox as well. I'm pointing over there. I don't know which side you're on everyone else's camera. And then you also get all the nice star ratings and reviews, presuming you've got reviews. So yes, do this on Shopify. Yes, do this on WordPress. And if you're like the poor person earlier who was building their site in Squarespace, you might be in for a rough ride, and that's going to be tricky. But yeah, definitely on WordPress and Shopify.
Okay, cool. And of course, we have the recording ready of this webinar tomorrow as well. So if you want to rewatch and learn what these guys have been telling you, then you can always rewatch it slowly. Sometimes I also do it times 0.75 if I listen to Jono.
Nice.
And there's actually a question here which gets a lot of upvotes, but it's about Google Analytics. But since there are so many upvotes, maybe you can go into this, Jono. Would anyone over there at Yoast be interested in scheduling a session for the new Google Analytics? I think I'm only halfway through setting it up. I would love visual guidance. I mean, it has a lot of upvotes,
tricky.
so it definitely has some...
So the new Google, so if you haven't clocked this, Google are killing Universal Analytics GA3 sometime next July. They're killing it dead. All of your data will stop working. It will stop recording, and they are pushing very heavily for people to adopt GA4. I say this from a place of love. I say this as an analytics nerd for the last 100 years who spends his weekends going to analytics conferences. GA4 sucks. It is a half-finished product that Google are ramming down everybody's throat for legal reasons because they have to get off UI. It's not ready for real-world usage. It's not really thought out. It's not very good. However, unless you want to move to use something else, it is your only option. So yes, I guess at some point we should sit down and do a webinar and say, here is how to make the most of a bad situation, rather than like everyone else is burying our heads in the sand and hoping it will go away, because it's not going to. So yes, yeah, we probably will, but we'll all hate ourselves for it.
Cool.
I don't expect it to go away. I expect it to be delayed. I don't really expect July 2023 to be the actual funeral of GA3, but we'll live and see.
Hopefully. It would be very characteristics of Google to announce a date and then push it back and push it back and push it back when they realize that not everyone's adopted, right? They did this with everything. They did it with the page speed announcements. They go, oh, come summer, everyone's rankings are going to hurt if your sites are slow. But they don't consider that in the real world, it takes a long time to make even simple changes to most websites. And you look at the number of sites running Google Analytics accounts that have been there for decades. They're not going to get, oh, we'll change it now because there's urgency now. So yeah, that'll be delayed, definitely.
Cool. Even Shopify doesn't support GA4 out of the box.
No. So yeah, and it's going to take time to adopt. Yeah, and the amount of work you have to do to set up GA4, it's not just plug and play. So yeah, if Shopify aren't even there yet, then there's not a lot of chance of most businesses getting there.
They're reporting it in there, even if you've set it up correctly, it's not baked fully yet. It's still a long way to go.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Thanks. I guess that answers. Yeah, there was one more question about us, if we could give a webinar about GA4. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
We'll see.
I'm happy to tag along.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So there's one question from Yoast, which I will answer. So within the talk, he's a little bit lost about the difference between Yoast for WooCommerce and Shopify. If so, where can I find it? So I quickly will just search for the product pages, and it actually makes it a whole lot clearer. But in the end, if you use Shopify or WooCommerce with Yoast, then it kind of works similarly. You can get these rich results, what Jono has been talking about, and he has been talking about.
Awesome.
One more last question, and then we'll go on to your next slide, I guess, Jono.
Yeah, I just realized that I still had the slide up and we're sat tiny in the corner, but then, yeah, we also had some exciting news to share about what's next, didn't we? But yeah, let's do another question. Loads of time.
Cool. Do you see a problem with making a live event a product in order to have access to the review features? Just a wild idea I'm considering. I currently use an events registration plugin, but I'm not aware of any way to easily request and collect reviews after the event through the event plugin. If I made it a product on my site, would you see a problem with that?
That's really interesting.
Practically, you'd strike out with Google because you could review a product after it's been consumed or received in a sense, right? And this is a live event happening in the future. So you'd definitely be in a not even a gray zone. You'd be completely out of line, I believe, in Google's terms. So that could negatively impact you.
Unless it's like a recurring event and it's the same event every month, maybe. Not if it's a live event though, right? Yeah, you can only review stuff that's happened.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some version of this if it's a recurring event and it's, I don't know, some training or something, maybe. You could review the thing itself rather than the specific event, but then the product is the training package and the event is just the way that's delivered. I mean, a lot of so schema is all up for interpretation, and yeah, Google have some quite strict reviews around some of it, but they're quite flexible in the rest of it. And if you can find a compelling and reasonable way to describe the relationships between these things, you can pretty reasonably get away with most stuff. But yeah, that definitely feels like you're crossing a line somewhere.
And would it matter if the event if you need a ticket for the event, which costs a price?
Yeah, so there is different schema for events, and there are rich results, snippets, and options and integrations for events which have ticket prices. We don't support that out the box, but you could definitely build on our stuff very easily with a bit of code if you're on WooCommerce, less easily with Shopify. But you could extend our stuff and roll your own solution that says here is an event that has an offer, that has a ticket, that's on this web page, that's a product, and Google will do all the things with that. So maybe don't chase product rich reviews, maybe chase event rich reviews.
Okay.
Say review, rich snippets even. Reviews. It's the only word I use now.
Okay, thanks a lot. Well, I guess that was most of the questions, but let us take you to the next slide, Jono, because you wanted to tell something about the news webinar.
Has it not moved? I've done it. Are we not on the thing? Oh dear. There we go. Do you see it?
Yeah.
There we go. Did it not work? Okay, sorted. Cool. Oh yeah. So yeah, do the thing.
Because there is a green flashy button at the bottom of your screen. If you're in full screen, then you can't probably see it, so you have to unfull your screen. If that's the proper sentence, probably not. And Jono will
pull it off.
yeah. Jono will talk you through, together with Taco, about the most important SEO news of last month. Do you have something to tell about that already, Jono? Some nice insights?
Oh, nothing official, but it was the big Google I/O event last week, the week before, which is their big annual. It's like the Apple marketing event, so they announce all their big releases. There is so much cool stuff coming down the pipeline. Lots of clever AI stuff, as they always talk about, but actually some really impactful stuff. Yeah, I'm going to go through all my notes over the next couple of days and pull together a list of all the things we're going to talk about. It's going to be a really cool one. Looking forward to it. And yeah, it'd be nice to see everyone there.
Cool. Well,
it's also my birthday.
Oh, nice. All the more reason to attend.
Well, Elad, happy birthday next week already. I'd say to call it a wrap with this. Thank you a lot for your questions, for your attention, for your messages in the chat. Thank you, Elad and Jono, for attending, talking us through the rich results, schema, structured data, and all these difficult frame wordings, terms. But yeah, I think you nailed it, and everyone has a lot of more information about it. So thank you a lot.
Awesome. Good luck, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye-bye.